Hello, hello. We are doing another Book Watch Adaptation Report today. Happy March. Before we get into our headlines, I'm Sarah-Daye.
And I'm Jordyn.
And Chris is not joining us tonight, but he did give us a little feedback that we will share with you after these messages. All right, welcome back. Jordyn, are you ready to talk about some bookish news?
So much news, so little time. Let's get into it.
That is very true. So we didn't really have any feedback or corrections, but Jordyn, what are you reading and watching this month?
So I've got my book club with Camp Valkyrie, and we are reading the War of Lost Hearts trilogy. We're in book 2. It's called Children of Fallen Gods. It's by Carissa Broadbent. And then I'm also reading our Book Watch books for March, which are His and Hers by Alice Feeney and Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. So that's what I'm working on. Watching, we watched Bridgerton, which was great.
Of course.
Love is Blind, which is a hot mess as per usual. I've also still been working my way through the old show West Wing, and it's kind of scary how relevant some of the stuff they were writing about in 2007, 8, 9 is here in good old 2026. What else are we watching? I'm going to start watching His and Hers this week as I'm reading. Yeah, all that.
Yep. I'm also, of course, reading His and Hers and Project Hail Mary. I'm a little more than halfway through Project Hail Mary, and I've got like an hour or two left, I think, on His and Hers. I've already seen His and Hers, so I don't need to watch that, but I am looking forward to going to see Project Hail Mary. And that was really Chris's only feedback for us, was how excited he is to see Project Hail Mary. And I think that Chris speaks for all of us, and even a majority of our listeners, that this is going to be a highlight of March. The book has gotten phenomenal reviews. I was so excited to start reading it, and it's living up to its expectations. And the movie early reviews, I think we'll talk about it later on in our list of highlights, but it's getting really great reviews already. So this is going to be a really fun one to talk about when we get to it.
Yeah, I mean, the word of mouth has been so good for the book and the early reviews of the movie that even I'm starting to get excited, and that's saying a lot, listeners. As you know, I'm the fantasy person, so for me to be hyped about a sci-fi project is something else. So hopefully it lives up to all the hype.
All right, on that note, let's get into what else is coming out this month. I'm going to run through some headlines of everything that is releasing this month, and then we can talk about it if we have any thoughts. So let's start with Diana Gabaldon's sweeping historical fantasy saga concludes with Outlander Season 8 premiering on Starz on March 6th. With returning stars Kaitriana Balfe, Sam Hugan, and Sophie Skelton, the final season will wrap the long-running page-to-screen love story that blends time travel, romance, and war. Patricia Cornwell's best-selling crime series Scarpetta debuts on Prime Video on March 11th, developed by Liz Sarnoff and starring Nicole Kidman, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Ariana DeBose, bringing the forensic investigators' gripping cases to streaming audiences. Colleen Hoover's emotional bestseller Reminders of Him heads to theaters on March 13th, in a film directed by Vanessa Caswell and starring Micah Monroe, Tyreek Withers, and Rudy Panko. The adaptation follows a young mother seeking redemption and reconnection after serving time in prison. Apple TV Plus brings Araminta Hall's psychological thriller Imperfect Women to streaming on March 18th, directed by Leslie Linka Glader and starring Elizabeth Moss, Kerry Washington, and Kate Mara. The series unravels the hidden secrets behind the murder of a seemingly perfect friend. And last but certainly not least, Ryan Gosling leads the big screen adaptation of Andy Weir's best-selling sci-fi novel Project Hail Mary, directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. As an amnesiac astronaut tasked with saving humanity, the film also stars Sandra Hüller and is set for a theatrical release on March 20th. Early reviews are calling it a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm. And I think it will be. I mean, even the trailers that I've seen, it's gonna be great. Hopefully, it's as good of an adaptation as The Martian seems to have
Right.
been, because that's what we care about is how well they take the pages to the screen. But I think even if they fumble here and there with adaptation, the film itself looks stunning. The soundtrack so far sounds really cool in the trailers, so I think bare minimum it'll be a great addition to the sci-fi genre.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to this. The Martian, I haven't read the book, but I love the movie. The book so far is so good. I can't wait to talk to you once you start reading it. So I have really high hopes for this film, and I look forward to our deep dive into it.
Yeah. As for these other releases, I think I was too young for Outlander when it first started coming out, however long ago. So I'm not really familiar. But I know it's. I mean, 8 seasons of a show these days is unheard of. Most shows get cut after 2 or 3 seasons. So
Mm-hmm.
for them to be running the gamut from the beginning of the series to the end is really really impressive. And I hope that the ending of Outlander is what all the fans want it to be and is not disappointing the way that some adaptation
Yeah.
finales have been. Game of Thrones,
Looking at
looking at
you, Game of
you.
Thrones.
No shade, no shade. I love Game of Thrones, but like that ending was tough. In George R. R. Martin's defense, that ending was not based on one of his books, and that's probably why it
Yes.
was not awesome because they didn't have good material to
Didn't
pull
have the
from.
source material. Yeah. And I think that's why he's so hung up on not finishing it, because the reception was so poor that
Yeah,
he just kind of lost the enthusiasm.
yeah,
And I do wish that he was able to write before, like finish everything before they got ahead or they slowed down or
yeah,
whatever. Because it is, I mean, I didn't have a problem with the things that happened in Game of Thrones, not to get too off topic, but I did have a problem with how fast they happened. And it, like, I would have been okay with everything happening the way it did if we had more time to develop all of those storylines.
yeah, yeah. That's fair. Um, I've heard a conspiracy theory that it is finished and he's just waiting until he dies to release it so he doesn't
Oh,
have to be here
interesting.
to deal with the backlash. And honestly, that sounds valid. Like I don't I wouldn't like, just because there no matter what happens, there's going to be some controversy because there are people who really did love the ending of the show, and so
Hmm.
anything that's different from the show is going to be controversial inherently.
Sure.
And so it wouldn't, especially like the way that he comes off publicly, it wouldn't surprise me if he just was like, I'm just gonna dump this and dip. Like I don't want to be here
Yeah.
to listen to anybody complaining or anything. Like just it is what it is. Enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
for
that would be
sure.
funny. Anyways, Outlander, Godspeed to you guys. Hopefully it's awesome and ends well and hits all everything you want it to hit. Um, and it can join the hallowed halls of good adaptations.
Yeah, and I don't have much to say on these other ones. I mean, I've been seeing the trailer for Imperfect Women, and Reminders of Him. I haven't seen much on Scarpetta, but I'm not really interested in any of this. Listeners, if you want us to cover anything, let us know. We, of course, will do whatever you want us to do. But definitely Project Hail Mary is what I'm looking forward to most this month.
Yeah, for sure. Same. I'm not familiar with anything, but if word of mouth is good, I'll see anything. I'll watch anything. So let us know, and hopefully, if the reviews come in good, then we can pick it up on the back end. But yeah.
All right, let's get into some of our updates. First up, we have gotten a first trailer for The Devil Wears Prada, which is based on characters from Lauren Weisberger's bestselling novel, which teases a high stakes return to the ever evolving media and fashion world. As Miranda Priestley faces shifting industry power dynamics and new professional rivalries, the sequel promises signature glamour, biting dialogue, and a fresh chapter into one of the most iconic book to film franchises. And I do want to note that it seems like this sequel does not follow the sequel of the book. So it will be interesting to see what they do different.
Yeah, this is one of those sleeper ones that I didn't even know it was based off a book. I just thought it was an iconic mid-aughts film. Um, so the fact that it's based off a book is cool and makes me want to go back and read it because the film is such a like modern classic. Like pretty much everybody has seen Devil Wears Prada, or at least you're familiar enough with the lines and the memes. And like so many of Miranda Priestley's lines have become memes or like TikTok audios of people reenacting in different
Mm-hmm.
scenarios. Like it has really become one of those films that has stood the test of time. I think it's a good time to have a sequel come out. We're in the age of sequels right now, and this movie came out long enough ago that it is something that people kind of miss and are ready to have back. So I'm excited for this one for sure. I'll definitely see it in theaters, and yeah.
Johnny Depp has unveiled his first look as Ebenezer Scrooge in Paramount Pictures' upcoming adaptation of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Directed by Ty West, the film appears to lean into a darker Gothic reimagining of the literary classic. The project marks Depp's first major studio role since 2022 and signals yet another cinematic retelling of one of the most frequently adapted stories in publishing history.
Yeah, we covered Christmas Carol in December, and we talked about it then. Like this is kind of a scary story. Like it's a ghost story
Yeah.
ultimately. Like yes, it's
Yeah.
Christmassy, and yes, it's about the joy and generosity of Christmas time, but it's a ghost story. Like it opens with him. Marley was dead to begin with, and we see the ghost of his old friend, and he's like, haunting him and warning him. So I think leaning into that gothic and like almost horrorness of the story could be an interesting take, because most adaptations that I'm familiar with kind of focus more on the joyful Christmassy side of it. So I think having a
Right.
darker version could be really interesting. And then, of course, you have all the controversy of Johnny Depp himself making a return to
Yep.
film after all of the Amber Heard stuff, however many years ago now, 5-ish years. Um, so I've always loved Johnny Depp. After the findings of the court case, and since we got to see what happened in court live for a lot of it, I came out like a little like both of them are toxic people, but a little bit more on his side. So
Same.
I'm excited for him to come back to film. I think he was really done dirty by the press, and there's a lot of people who
Yes.
have done worse things and have been able to be like rehabilitated in the public eye. So I'm really glad that he's getting the opportunity for that and he gets to come back. And I think this is a great first re-entry into film. It's something beloved. It's something that he can do what he does best, which is disappear into the role. Like these photos, like
Mhm.
he barely looks like Johnny Depp. He looks
Right.
like how you would imagine Ebenezer Scrooge to look. Um, so I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be great, and I'm happy that he's back. He deserves the opportunity to redeem himself, I think.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Like, I'm so excited for Johnny Depp's return. I've always been a Johnny Depp fan. Captain Jack Sparrow is my boyfriend. So I
Real.
did have a lot of bias going into those trials.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. They are both toxic people. They did not they should not have been together. But I do agree that the press really drug his name through the mud undeservedly. And I'm excited for him to make his comeback. So we'll keep you guys updated on what this adaptation is going to look like. It will most likely be our 2026 coverage of Dickens' A Christmas Carol, because we will be doing that every holiday season. So stay tuned for that. Netflix has tapped Emily Bader, People We Meet on Vacation, to star as soccer legend Mia Hamm in the 99ers, a sports biopic based on the Jere Longman's book, The Girls of Summer, a U.S. women's soccer team and how it changed the world, telling the inspiring true story of the 1999 U.S. women's national team. Directed by Nicole Castle and also starring Zoe Dutch as real life soccer executive Marla Messing, the film begins production in March 2026 and will premiere exclusively on Netflix when released. The 99ers celebrates one of the most iconic moments in women's sports and highlights the real life team's impact on soccer and culture.
Um, I'm not a soccer player. I don't know squat about soccer. I grew up playing basketball, but I had a lot of a lot of the girls who were like me and that we were more sporty, more tomboyish, they were soccer players and they grew up idolizing this team. And we were all, I mean, I was 1 year old when this team in 1999, I had just been born. Um, so I don't know, I didn't grow up with it, but the girls my age who played soccer idolized this team. And this was like, these were their idols who they looked up to. So I'm really excited for those fans and just fans of women's sports and people who respect women in sports and want to see more acknowledgement of the incredible things that women can do athletically. I'm really excited that this is happening and going to exist. And I hope that it does the story of these women justice and everything that they had to go through to get to be on top, and find their success. So go girls.
Yeah, it's really going to be like the year of women's soccer because Ted Lasso is coming out with its fourth season, and it's going to be starring a women's team instead of the boys team. And now we have the 99ers, which is all about a real life women's sports team.
Mm-hmm.
So I like you, I don't know a lot about soccer other than what I've seen in Ted Lasso. So of course, this probably won't be as comedic and well, it will probably be heartfelt, but not as comedic as the Ted Lasso show has been. But this is going to give us another look into the soccer world that I'm really looking forward to. Speaking of Emily Henry, Phoebe Dynevor has signed on to star as January Andrews in 20th Century Studios' film adaptation of Henry's best-selling novel, Beach Read. The romantic comedy follows rival authors who swap genres for a summer and unexpectedly find more than just inspiration, with Yulin Kwang directing from her own screenplay.
I love Phoebe Dynevor. I love her from Bridgerton. And now that I have read and watched one Emily Henry adaptation, I'm ready for the next one. So I think this is two great things coming together, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Phoebe to get like recognition that she deserves. I think some people still think of Bridgerton as like your what's it called?
Like a soap opera, like not as high quality.
Yes. And like your guilty pleasure. That's the word I was
Mm-hmm.
looking for. So for her to be in not that Emily Henry movie is like Oscar winning movies,
Sure.
but it's a step in the right direction. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for her to see like it's a feature role in a film. So I am glad for her. I liked her as Daphne in Bridgerton, and I wish that we were seeing these characters in Bridgerton more and more. Um, but I get that it only focuses on one couple. So for her to be the star of a movie, especially an Emily Henry movie, like you said, we just covered an Emily Henry movie that did really well. So go Phoebe. The full trailer has dropped for the Magic Fairway Tree, the long awaited live action adaptation of Eden Blyton's beloved children's book series. And it's packed with an all star cast, including Andrew Garfield, Claire Foy, Nicola Coughlan, speaking of Bridgerton, Jessica Gunning, and Rebecca Ferguson. Written by Paddington 2 and Wonka scribe Simon Farnaby, the film follows a modern family who relocates to the British countryside where their children discover a magical tree transporting them to fantastical lands. The film hit UK cinemas on March 27th, 2026, though US fans are still waiting on a release date, so fingers crossed it finds its way stateside soon.
I remember us talking about this one in another adaptation report, and we were all like, never heard of it, not sure where Andrew Garfield fits in, like what's going on. I did watch this trailer, and it looks really cute. It looks fun.
Mhm.
It looks like one of those ones that if you are a kid and you see it at the right time, it's going to stick with you forever and be one of those ones that you go back to over and over again. So I'm really excited. The cast sounds great. Yeah, like you said, from Bridgerton, Nicola Coughlan, and everybody loves Andrew Garfield. So
Everybody loves Andrew Garfield.
everybody loves him. Yeah, so I'm excited for it. I hope it does get a release date in the US, so we can see it. Otherwise, streaming is a thing, so maybe it'll be on streaming at some point, and we can see it later. But yeah, it looks sweet and fun, and I'm excited for it. I hope it does well.
Yeah, this is definitely something that I think I would show my kids. And we, on Fridays, we have Finger Food Friday and we watch a movie. And I feel like this is right up the alley of something we would watch on Friday. So hopefully it will come over here, even if it's just on streaming. And we'll get a chance to enjoy it as well. Netflix has secured U.S. streaming rights to Jack Thorne's four-part Lord of the Flies series from Sony Pictures Television, marking the first TV adaptation of William Golding's classic and positioning it as a high-profile literary pickup. The limited series, already airing on BBC and sold in multiple international territories, reflects strong distributor confidence and expands Netflix lineup with prestige drama. The deal underscores ongoing streaming competition for premium global content.
I'm excited for this. More so than some of the other ones. I haven't read Lord of the Flies since like my junior year of high school, senior year of high school maybe, and I think it mostly went over my head. Like I didn't really get it. It didn't really click with me at the time. So I would love the opportunity to go and reread the book and see like what I can gather from it now as an adult and like be paying more attention instead of just like trying to hurry up and get through it for a grade like we do in school. Um, but some of the like set photos that we've seen and some of the trailers, it looks like it's really great production value. It looks like it was filmed like on location and very intentionally. So I'm excited that it's on Netflix and that it'll be available to a wider audience. I think again the fact that it was required reading for me in high school speaks to the fact that it has something to teach us about humanity and about society. And there's a lot happening in the world. And I think some of these reminders, like Lord of the Flies in 1984 and Brave New World, like there's a lot to be learned from those dystopias. And I think, now is a great time to kind of revisit and be like, hey, these people were trying to warn us, pay attention. And
Right.
so making it very accessible to more people is always a good thing. So hopefully it inspires people to do what I want to do and reread the book too. Because there's always something lost when you translate an adaptation.
Yeah, I agree. It's something that I'm sure I read in high school, but I do not remember it at all. I mean, I barely remember books I read last year. So I am sure I read it, don't remember anything about it, would love to reread it or read it for the first time and see how the BBC adaptation holds up to the story. BBC usually like they do such good work over there, so I'm sure that this is going to be a really solid piece of TV show, and I'm excited to see it when it's streaming. Emerald Fennell's new adaptation of Wuthering Heights dominated Valentine's President's Day weekend at the box office with a number one debut, earning a projected 34.8 million domestically and around 82 million globally, outperforming rival releases. The Margot Robbie, Jacob Elordi led film continues to spark conversation about how classic romances are being reimagined for modern audiences. With a new adaptation of Pride and Prejudice on the horizon, will it follow a Bridgerton Wuthering Heights style modern steamy twist or remain more faithful to Jane Austen's original story?
I hope it stays faithful. Not to start talking about Pride and Prejudice too much, but I hope it stays faithful. Um, I think we talked about it before when we were talking about Wuthering Heights, but this director has come out and said like it's Wuthering Heights. Like she's been very open and very honest. She's not trying to directly adapt
Right.
Emily Bronte's story to film. She's been very and I applaud her for it. She's been very open. I am doing my own thing here. It's inspired by Wuthering Heights, but it's not retelling or directly adapting Wuthering Heights. And so that being said, like I don't think it's fair to judge how good of an adaptation it is because that's not what the goal of the film is. But I I haven't seen it yet still just because I'm very hesitant to
Mm-hmm.
like support something that I don't agree with the message of or I don't agree with the goal of like
Mm-hmm.
I want to see classics adapted with modern technology, modern camera, modern, acting styles, all of these things. That's what I want to see out of adaptations. Um so I'm glad that it did well. Like, that's cool for everybody who worked on the movie. Like, paychecks all around, woo. But I hope that it doesn't become a trend where we're taking
Mm-hmm.
these beloved classics and just like reworking them and making them spicy just for the sake of making them spicy.
Right. And I don't know if like it's just that I'm a part of the book talk world, but it seems like the spicy stuff is just so in right now. I mean, Bridgerton has got spice, and that is a very popular TV show. You've got things like ACOTAR and Fourth Wing, which are both very spicy fantasy books. And now you've got this Wuthering Heights that is a very steamy, although I have not seen it, but I have seen the trailer, and the trailer makes it seem very steamy. And from what I've heard, it seems like a very steamy film. So I mean, I'm not turned off by steamy things, but I think
Yeah.
a lot of times it's not necessary the amount that is put into the show. I think Bridgerton has calmed down a little bit and gotten more focused on the story. Um, I don't want to read Wuthering Heights until after I've seen the film. I would like to watch this film first and then read it and then watch the other adaptations of Wuthering Heights, because it does sound like it's a good movie and I'm interested to see that, but I don't want to be tainted of having the book in my mind when I see this film. From what I've heard, a lot of people that are going into it having read Wuthering Heights thinking it's going to be an adaptation are very disappointed in the film and do not like the film. But people that knew it wasn't an adaptation or have not read the book very much like the film. So I have not read Wuthering Heights, and I love Margot Robbie. I'm not as familiar with Jacob Elordi. Like, I know who he is. I know he's from Euphoria, but I haven't really seen a lot that he's been in. I have not watched Euphoria. So anyway, I want to see the movie, and then I would like to read Wuthering Heights to see how different it is and where all this controversy is coming from.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people that I've seen online who have read the book and didn't like the adaptation, I think the book does a lot of work talking about like class and race in that era, and the movie doesn't touch on those things nearly as much, or not nearly in as nuanced of a way. And again, that goes back to what is the point of the media? Like, I don't think the point
Mm-hmm.
of the movie was to talk about class and race in that era of England. So again, it's not fair to judge it on how well it did or didn't talk about those things, because it wasn't trying to talk about those things. So I would be curious to, like, I do want to go see it at some point, like we said. Going into it, I think without reading the book is probably best, so then I can see like, okay, what is this movie trying to talk about and trying to explore? What is the point of this film as a film, and not with all, like you said, not with all the weight of Wuthering Heights, the
Mm-hmm.
book, and trying to carry the weight of that book. So yeah, I think seeing it without reading it first is probably the best move for us, since we haven't already read the book.
Yeah. Speaking of classics, the first teaser for a new Pride and Prejudice adaptation has been released, offering early glimpses of Emma Corrin as Elizabeth Bennet and Jack Lowden as Mr. Darcy. The teaser sets the stage for Netflix's 6-episode limited series, introducing audience to this generation's take on Jane Austen's beloved romance.
I am a 2005 Pride and Prejudice truther. That is my Pride and Prejudice. I know when you covered it on the podcast before Chris and I joined, was it Megan who did that episode with you, or somebody else?
No, that was my friend Krista.
Okay, Krista. Krista is a BBC truther, and
Mm-hmm.
that is her Pride and Prejudice. I've never seen BBC. I would like to. I don't know how to access it legally, so I haven't yet. But because I'm so deeply attached to 2005 Pride and Prejudice, and Matthew Macfadyen is my Mr. Darcy, and all of that, and the music, like, we played the music from that movie at my wedding. Like, that movie is very,
Oh,
very
yeah.
impactful. It's very, very meaningful to me, and so to touch it at all, I'm like, no, don't do that. Like, watch it. Like, be
Mm-hmm.
careful. So the teaser is like truly a teaser. Like, it's so small. There's not a lot of exploration. Like, I don't think anybody even talks. It's
Mm-hmm.
just instrumental, and you get to see what a couple of people looks like. Emma Corrin looks like Lizzie. I'll give her that. She like kind of melds into that role. She has like a period piece face, the way that a lot of people say that Keira Knightley does. So great casting, I guess. Um, I'm just very nervous. I'm gonna be nervous until I see it. I hope that it is the perfect blend of the old BBC and the 2005 film, of like the
Right.
beauty and the visuals of that movie with the direct from the book lines, and that more act true to the novel adaptation, and finds like that perfect mix of the two, and then everybody can just be happy.
And I think that we'll know that in like the first 5 minutes, because if it doesn't open with "it's a truth universally acknowledged," we'll know that it's not going
Mm-hmm.
to be line for line.
Yeah.
But again, I take us back to the question of like you were saying, what's going to be the point of this? Is it going to be another retelling? Is it just going to be a steamy version of Pride and Prejudice?
Right.
And we really don't know yet from the first looks that we've gotten, the photos or this teaser. We really don't know what kind of style
Yeah.
we're getting.
I think if it were to lean more into like the modern steaminess, there would be even more backlash than what Wuthering Heights got.
Oh, for sure.
Simply because like it's Pride and Prejudice is more well known. It's been more recently adapted than Wuthering Heights. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot bigger like fan base around it. Like Jane Austen, like there's a Jane Austen festival in England every year. Like you can go to Mr. Darcy's estate and watch Pride and Prejudice like on the lawn. Like there's a lot of culture around Pride and Prejudice that Wuthering Heights just doesn't have, or at least didn't have
Mm-hmm.
when this new movie is coming out. So I think it would be really foolish of them to go the spicy route. And I personally, like, if I heard from somebody that it was like super super spicy in that way, because there's zero spice in that book, it's not a spicy
Right.
novel. So if they like threw some in just for the sake of throwing it in, I'm not watching it, straight up.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't even tell you where the spice would be, because like they literally don't get together until the end. So I don't
Right.
know how they would add it in. So I'm, leaning towards there's not going to be enough or any spice in this book, but I think once we get the actual trailer, we'll have a
Yeah.
better idea of where this is falling.
Yeah. Trying to stay optimistic for now, though.
Speaking of Jordyn being optimistic, we've got Disney Plus's Percy Jackson and the Olympians adding major cast members for its third season adaptation. And this will be on the Titan's Curse. So we've got Ming-Na Wen joining as Hera, Jennifer Beals as Demeter, and Hubert Similecki as Apollo. This is expanding the Olympian lineup Percy and his friends will encounter in this next season. The casting news signals a continued commitment to bringing Rick Riordan's beloved young adult fantasy to life with a star-studded ensemble. How do you feel, Jordyn?
Ming-Na Wen Hera. I used to pray for time like these. I'm so excited. I love her. I love her. I've loved her since Mulan. Like I grew up as a Disney kid.
Yes,
Like what?
yes,
Like
yes.
so, she's been in my life since Mulan. Love her in Mandalorian. She and like Star
Agents
Wars.
of
That
Shields.
Agents of Shield. Like she's. I love her, and for her to be Hera, I think is excellent. Hera as a character in this book series specifically, you don't get a ton of her in this series, but she's a lot more prominent in the sequel series, the Heroes of Olympus series. So for her to be cast as, for Ming-Na Wen to be cast as her, and me like knowing the kind of the more like the next steps for this character in the future, if they were to go ahead and
Mhm.
greenlight a hero, I'm pumped. And even Hera as a character is very complicated. She like, she has to deal with Zeus cheating on her every 5 seconds. Like that's well known in Greek mythology that he is just not a loyal husband, and she's the goddess of marriage. So like I think you needed a really well known, well respected actress to take on that role, and I can't imagine anybody better. I'm not familiar with Jennifer Beals or Hubert Smilecki, but they look great. I'm glad that Hubert matches Daphne Keane, like age wise, for them to be Artemis and Apollo. They are supposed to be twins. So I'm glad that they kept them both young, and so that, again, they can kind of grow together as we go on through the series. But So, sometimes I see news and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited, and then I hear something about like a writing choice that's different. I'm like, no, we're so back. It's so over. We're so back. Right now, I'm feeling like we're so back. I'm excited about these castings, and I don't want to hear anything else until the new season comes out in December, lest I feel like it's so over all over again.
I don't have much more to add. I do want to note that Ming Na Wen was also in the Droylette Club, which is a book adaptation. So maybe we could have a whole Ming Na Wen themed month one time, and do her adaptations. But yeah, I'm thrilled with her coming on board to Percy Jackson, and I'm very much looking forward to the next season. I didn't have as much issue with season 2 as I think you did, but I was not as big of a fan. So I'm hoping that it lives up to everything you need it to be.
I hope so too. I think just the fact that we're getting it at all is very exciting. Because, like we've said, they made movies for 1 and 2. They never made that third movie because the first 2 were so terrible. So just the fact that I'm seeing certain characters on screen at all, I'm gonna be pumped. I'm still trying to trust the process. I know Rick is in that writer's room, and so I'm trying to just like keep the faith. And um, I wanted a page for page adaptation, and I am still wrestling with and trying to go through the 5 stages of grief and accept that that's not what I'm going to get. We're well past that. It's not going to happen. And so still just trying to find things to be excited about, even though it's not going to be exactly what I wanted it to be originally. Fingers crossed.
The first look images from the adaptation Remarkably Bright Creatures have been released, offering an early glimpse at the screen version of Shelby Van Pelt's best-selling novel. The film stars Sally Field as Tova and Lewis Pullman as Ethan, teasing the story's signature mix of quiet grief, unexpected connection, and hope as it prepares to bring the beloved book to life on screen.
I have not read this book, so I don't have a lot to say. I love Sally Field. She is another one of those actresses like Ming Na Wen who's just kind of been in my life since like Mrs. Doubtfire and Steel Magnolias, like Forrest Gump. Like she's just always kind of been around. So I love her. I love Lewis Pullman. Shout out to our boy from Thunderbolts and Top Gun Maverick. That alone will make me see it. And then I've also heard really great things about the book, that it is one of those books that will alter your soul and just change the way you see the world. So I'm really excited to read it, and hopefully we'll get the chance to cover it. I'd like to work it in if we can. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited
I definitely
for this.
want to read this. I want to see this. I love Lewis Pullman. Of course, like you said, Sally Field grew up on her. But Lewis Pullman was also another adaptation. Chemistry, Lessons in Chemistry. And so I first saw him in that before Thunderbolts, and I haven't seen Maverick. So, but I've loved everything that I've seen him in, and I feel like the two of them together are going to be fantastic. It does sound like a great story. I've heard good things about the book, so I definitely want to read it. I definitely want to cover it on the podcast. Now we're ready for books being picked up for adaptation. So we're going to start out with James Farrell, former Amazon executive, launches Red Sage Studios, a new young adult focused production company, unveiling an initial film slate featuring adaptations like The Bridge Kingdom by Daniel L. Jensen, She's With Me by Jessica Consolo, and Let's Play by Leanne M. Krekic.
This makes my 2013 heart so very happy. Like, just having a studio focused on YA novels is so cool. Like, we had like the big YA dystopian boom in the early 2010s with, Hunger Games and Maze Runner and Divergent, all these things.
Yeah.
It came and then it faded. And so, or at least the dystopian part of it came and faded. And I think YA, like, it often gets looked down on as like, oh, those are kids' books. It's like, The Hunger Games is a perfect example. You can still have really deep, meaningful stories that are age appropriate for a 13 or 14-year-old to read. And in fact, I would argue that it's even more important to put those messages in books for children to read, and so that way they can learn these big things, like we talked about, spoilers for our Hunger Games episode, but like living in a surveillance state and like having the government be oppressing you, and like the lack of communication between citizens. Like those are really important messages for kids to learn from an early age, so they can be aware of, and like the power of propaganda. Like kids need to learn these things, and putting them in a fictional novel is a great way to expose them to those ideas without like having to set them down. Like, now see here, sweetie, this is how this works. So I think him, Mr. Farrell, like creating this space to focus on telling stories for that age group is awesome. I haven't read any of these books that have already been like that are on the initial slate. I've heard of Danielle L. Jensen. I have her other series. The first book is A Fate Inked in Blood. It's like a Nordic, like Viking fantasy story. I haven't read it yet, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. So I'm excited that, yeah, and this is her other series, The Bridge Kingdom. So hopefully that will lead to this other Viking story getting an adaptation as well. And just more adaptations, more bringing books to life and taking these important messages and stories and giving them to wider audiences. So cheers to this guy.
Yeah, I think this is very exciting. I'm hopeful that it does really well and continues to do well, and we get more young adult adaptations. Finding Her Edge, Netflix's young adult ice skating drama adapted from Jennifer Iacopelli's best-selling novel, has been officially renewed for season 2, following its strong launch on Netflix after premiering January 22nd, 2026. The series, starring Madeline Keyes, Kale Ambrosic, and Ollie Atkins, and developed by showrunners Shelley Scarrow and Jeff Norton, follows 17-year-old Adriana Russo as she navigates competitive figure skating, romance, and family pressure, and will return to expand the Russo sisters' story next season. You're muted.
Another one that I'm not familiar with, the cast looks pretty good. Timothy Olyphant, love him. Most recently, I've seen him in Mandalorian. Not really anything else for me personally, but I know he's widely regarded as a great, great actor. I'm talking about the wrong thing. Yep, I am. Sorry. I'm gonna have to cut. Hey, you're gonna have to cut all that. My bad. I was distracted typing to you. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not really familiar with Finding Her Edge or the ice skating world at all, but I think like sports romance and sports books are having a moment. There's a lot of like contemporary romance that are ice skating or hockey or football or baseball or whatever. So I think this makes perfect sense, like timing wise, why it would come out. I think they're, again, not familiar with the story, but I think there can be a lot of really cool coming of age stories told through this storyline, and sisterhood. I think they can do a lot if they find the heart for this show. So I would be interested to see it, and hopefully it's the adaptation that the fans want to see.
I don't have too much to add. I mean, we are getting a lot of sports stuff right now, so it does only make sense. It looks cute. I've seen the trailer for it. Probably not something I would gravitate to. What do we keep saying? We have so much content, so little time. So
Yeah.
Unless our listeners really wanted us to cover it, I don't think that's something that would be on my docket. But you never know. Lucky, the limited series adaptation of Marissa Stapley's best-selling novel and Reese's Book Club pick, will premiere on Apple TV on July 15th, with the first 2 episodes debuting globally and the remaining episodes rolling out weekly through August 19th. The Hello Sunshine produced drama stars Anya Taylor-Joy, who also executive produces, as a con artist forced on the run, and features a star-studded cast including Annette Bening, Timothy Olyphant, Yonjanu Ellis Taylor, Drew Starkey, Clifton Collins Jr., and William Fitchner. It's co-showrun and written by Jonathan Troper and Cassie Pappas. Lucky promises a high-stakes, character-driven, page-to-screen thriller rooted in its best-selling source material.
I think we're due for another heist movie, right?
Yeah. And this sounds really fun. And I love Anna Taylor-Joy, so I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one for me. I've never, again, so sorry, listeners. I've never heard of it. I'm not familiar with it at all. But I mean, if Reese Witherspoon is putting it on her book club, maybe it's probably worth checking out. And it's coming to Apple TV Plus. So again, bare minimum, it's going to be a well-produced film. Adaptation wise, always up for debate if it was a good adaptation or not. But I think the fact that it's premiering on Apple TV means it's going to be high quality and at least worth your time to watch it. So yeah, if I can find the time and it would be worth it, then I will watch it.
And it's not the first Apple TV adaptation. They have many. But it's not even the first Hello Sunshine Apple TV, because I believe it's Apple TV now. I'm second guessing myself, but the last thing he told me was a Hello Sunshine produced film. I love that Reese is, first of all, that her book club is always like female authors, and then the Hello Sunshine is like producing all of these adaptations. It's really fun to see just like the women in this world. Like we're getting women authors, women producers, women stars, like leads. So I'm really glad that she started her book club. I'm really glad she started Hello Sunshine, and we're getting all of this content. If it's anything like the last thing he told me, that was a really solid adaptation. It was really well acted. So I definitely want to put this on the list of things to read and watch. After 7 years in development, Rachel Smythe's wildly popular webtoon comic Lore Olympus is finally getting an animated series at Prime Video, with showrunner Julia Cooperman bringing the modern Hades and Persephone romance to life. The series marks the Jim Henson Company's first ever adult animated show and joins Prime Video's growing slate alongside hits like Invincible and The Legend of Vox Machina. With over 1.8 billion global views, this vibrant reimagining of Greek mythology has been building a passionate fan base since 2017, and they're ready to see what the gods do after dark.
I have a history with Lore Olympus.
Of course you do.
I mean, I'm the Percy Jackson girl. Of course I have history with Lore Olympus. Yeah, I used to have the Webtoon app, and I used to like stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning on school nights to read the Lore Olympus comic and see what would happen next. It's kind of like if the gods of Olympus were on Love is Blind or like reality TV. Like they have very modern like mannerisms, like it's a whole city, they have cell phones, like there's drama. But it's also really well written, and the illustrations are so cute and recognizable. Like Persephone is just all pink, and Hades is all blue, and each god or goddess or character has their own like color and style. And so I've seen the like compilation or like omnibus books like at Target where like they take all the comics and like they are published in book form. So I'd love to get those and catch up on the story, because I did have to cut myself off because it was getting to be too much. I was losing too much sleep over Webtoon, so I had to cut myself off. So I haven't read all of the tune that, or all of the comic that's been published. So I'd like to read it, and I'm really excited that it's getting a show. It's one of those ones where you like, it inspires you as a writer or as a fan of these things. Like I could do that too, because she literally just was writing and drawing this stuff on her own, like her own digital art, and putting it on this app just for free for people to read. And now she's getting it adapted into a show on Prime Video. And that's so cool and so inspiring that like anybody can write, like I'm going to steal it from Ratatouille. Anyone can cook, anyone can write, anyone can draw. You just have to be brave enough to put your stuff out into the world, and you could be the next one to make it big and have people really resonate with your work. And so like that's really inspiring and really cool that they are giving her this opportunity. So good for her.
Yeah, I recognize I'm familiar enough that I recognize these characters when I saw the news come out. But I don't think I've read a single comic. But like you said, like Persephone's all in pink, Hades is all in blue. Like I recognize that, and I'm sure I've seen it around. I just haven't been, probably like you. I don't have the time to add, a Reb comic to my repertoire, but. I'm excited for this. I've always been passionate about Greek mythology. We've been enjoying the Percy Jackson stuff. We're about to do not Gladiator. Oh my gosh, the Odyssey. Jeez, Louise. So I'm excited. Greek. We keep saying it. Greek is having its moment. Like there's lots of Greek adaptations coming out right now. So it's gonna be a fun time, and I'm excited to see. Like I don't know if I will read the comics, but I will see the show. If we do it for the podcast, of course I'll read the comics, but I am definitely going to be watching the show. It looks fun. Another thing that's been in adaptation limbo for quite some time is Disney Plus's Eragon is finally taking flight after 4 years in development, with high potential showrunner Todd Harthan and Superman and Lois's Todd Helbring joining as co-showrunners alongside author Christopher Paolini. The writer's room opened late last year for the live-action series, which aims to give fans the faithful adaptation they've been demanding since the disappointing 2006 film. A redemption story similar to Disney's successful Percy Jackson reboot. With Mark Webb also boarding as executive producer, this Dragon Fantasy saga is shaping up to compete in the current fantasy streaming boom.
I love Eragon. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this. I'm possibly more, but at least just as excited for this as I was for Percy Jackson show when that got announced. I love Eragon. Eragon is it's basically like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, like all kind of wrapped into one. It's this farm boy who finds this magical object, and then him and his uncle. And then there's the weird old wizard man who comes and guides him on his journey. But there's dragons instead of lightsabers. And it's just like the ultimate, like, it's like my ultimate. It's everything that I love all in one place. And I really love, this is another one where Christopher Paolini started writing this book when he was 15 years old. And so it is, again, really cool to see somebody's lifelong work of this. It's only 4 books, but they are long books. They're really good books. And they have such a cult fan following. To see an author who's put his life into these works finally having it get the recognition it deserves and get the opportunity to be correctly and faithfully adapted for wider audiences. I'm so excited. I think somebody from the Percy Jackson show is working on this show as well. A producer, which, I don't even know what producers do, so that may mean nothing. But just the fact that it's going to be with Disney and they've got Superman and Lois. I have not seen that show, but I have heard that that is one of the most well adapted Superman entities that exist. Just the way that they wrote Superman and Lois and all the other characters, it's very faithful, it's very heartfelt. So I'm just very excited for this. We, like you said, the movie came out in 2006 and it was god awful. I'm sorry, we've literally been waiting 20 years for this. Literally have been waiting 20 years for this. Most of my life has been spent begging and crying and praying for an Eragon adaptation, and it's finally coming, and I will wait however long they want me to wait, as long as it's going to come eventually. I will wait. Take your time, do it right. Please don't mess it up. I'm begging you. Let's go. I'm so excited.
I don't know how I'm supposed to have a response to that, Jordyn.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
I feel like I saw the 2006 film in 2006 and thought it was fine. I think I liked it, but I hadn't read the books. I don't even think at the time I knew it was an adaptation. I can only vaguely remember some scenes from that film. But I have since heard Eragon. I know so many people really like this story. I still have yet to read it. but it's definitely something that I'm interested in. I can't wait to read it, and I really hope that Disney Plus does a good job with the adaptation
Yeah.
for you fans.
Thank you. I think it has kind of the Percy Jackson thing where like if you just watched it as a movie, it would be a great movie or a good movie at least. But when you think of it as directly adapting a story, it failed miserably. I mean, I'll have to double check, but I think like the dragon had like feathery wings. That's not a dragon. What are we doing here? Like, you guys are really great animators and really great CGI artists. Like, good for you. That's not what a dragon is. Like, please. So yeah, just like things like that where like y'all didn't have to do that. You just chose to mess it up. Stuff like that. And same thing, like I said, with the Percy Jackson movies, like you had the chance, it could have been really great. And this one didn't even get the second movie. It was so bad. So I'm excited for some redemption here for Eragon, my beloved.
I'm just looking up the poster on Internet Movie Database. I don't think I have watched this actually. I don't know what I saw. It looks pretty bad, but it is also from 2006. So
Yeah. No, yeah. So she is a dragon and she literally looks like she has feathery wings. Like, what are we doing?
yeah, it's almost like a hippogriff.
Yeah. Except for that's like not correct. Like, please. Like,
All
why
right.
does this dragon look furry?
um,
Anyways.
yeah, let's move on to Prime Video has greenlit an adaptation of Chloe Walsh's book Toxicization, Boys of Tommen, bringing the beloved 6-book Irish romance series to the screen with the producers behind Twilight, The Summer I Turned Pretty, and One Day. The 8-episode first season will cover the first 2 novels, Binding 13 and Keeping 13, following the forbidden love story between rugby star Johnny Kavanagh and shy newcomer Shannon Lynch at Tommen College in Ireland. With Walsh herself on board as executive producer and A Good Girl's Guide to Murder writer Poppy Kogan penning the scripts, fans can expect a faithful adaptation with production set to begin later this year and likely a 2027 premiere on Prime Video.
It's always a good sign when they have the author on board in some capacity. I'm a little nervous that she's an executive producer and not a writer or screenwriter. She might still be like in the room and like, contributing, just not being credited that way. I'm not familiar with this franchise, but having producers from Twilight, Summer I Turned Pretty on there make me optimistic that it'll be faithfully adapted. So yeah, hopefully it goes well, and who knows, maybe I like Irish stuff, so yeah, maybe I'll watch it. Who knows?
Well, and it sounds like it's a more, not young adult, but younger,
Mm-hmm.
romance story, which is The Summer I Turned Pretty is also a younger romance story. So it sounds
Yeah,
like they're right up the right alley there.
yeah.
I'm not familiar with the book series, but it sounds like a fun little romance. So we'll have to see what the trailers look like later on in the year. We're going to wrap up with a star-studded adaptation of Audrey Niffenegger's The Three Incestuous Sisters, underway with Dakota Johnson, Jessie Buckley, and Saoirse Ronan and Josh O'Connor set to lead the cast, reuniting acclaimed actors for the Gothic tale. Italian director Alice Rochwacher is co-writing the script with Otessa Moshfegh and production scheduled to begin in April. The project marks a major literary pickup and has already generated buzz for its evocative story and ensemble lineup.
This is quite the lineup. I mean, Saoirse Ronan, I don't know where Dakota Johnson fits in. There's a lot to say about Dakota Johnson. I don't want to get into all that. Josh O'Connor just coming off of the Knives Out film, Wake Up Dead Man, right? Yeah. So I'm excited for him. I liked him in that movie a lot. I love a Gothic tale, so that's intriguing. I'm not familiar with this story, but that title makes me really uncomfortable, really nervous. I'm sure it's a metaphor or euphemism, or not quite literally the sisters being incestuous, but that terrifies me. That cast is wild. And so I think I would see it just to see what that cast does, because
Right.
I'm going to have to talk about Dakota Johnson a little bit, just because like Saoirse Ronan is widely regarded as an incredible actor, and Josh O'Connor is like really moving up the ranks as being a really well-regarded actor. And then you have Dakota Johnson, who I don't think really anybody thinks is that great of an actress. Respectfully, I'm sure she's a nice person, but
Right.
so
Right.
that's really all I've got. Is I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Dakota Johnson has had enough opportunities to prove that she can act, and the nepotism just keeps bringing her back for more, and I think we should all just be done with her. But whatever. Let's give it another shot. Why not?
Okay, I brought up the Goodreads for the book. The Three Incestuous Sisters is an evocative illustrated book by the best-selling author of The Time Traveler's Wife. Reminiscent of the Gothic style of Edward Gorey, Niffenegger's visually stunning narrative affirms her genius as a storyteller. These rich pages present the tale of three very different sisters, one who is beautiful, one who is smart, and one who is talented. A melodrama of sibling rivalry unfurls as one sister is driven mad with jealousy due to the passionate love affair of another. Escalating to a dizzying climax, the romance of the two lovers ends in sabotage, shame, and despair. Haunting illustrations and lyrical prose depict a timeless tale of love, revenge, and ultimately transcendence. The Three Incestuous Sisters is a unique and lavish tour de force, which showcases Audrey Niffenegger's incredible talent as an artist and a writer.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yep.
Okay.
So time will tell.
Yeah, maybe the trailers will make me really want to see this, but right now I'm good leaving this one alone.
It definitely sounds like a good drama, like, something. Oh God, I can't even remember her name. Like Shondaland drama.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. I mean, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, folks, that is the end of our adaptation report. Next, at the end of the week, we are doing part 1 of Catching Fire. And our special guest, Jay Scotty, joins us for that. So stay tuned for Friday, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Book Watch. I hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of page-to-screen adaptations. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, review wherever you listen to podcasts, and share it with your fellow book and movie lovers. If you'd prefer to watch along, you can check the show out on YouTube. You can follow the show on Instagram at Book Watch Podcast, and you can follow me, Sarah-Daye, on Instagram at captain.mcdee. That's MCDEE. You can also join the conversation in the Book Watch Lounge on Facebook at www.facebook.com/groups/bookwatchlounge. If you would like to support the podcast, you can join the Patreon at www.patreon.com/bookwatchpodcast. Tiers start at only $4 a month, and I'd love to have you over there. If you have a favorite adaptation you'd like to cover with me, I'd love for you to apply to be on the show with the contact form on our website at www.bookwatchpodcast.com. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and I'll see you next week.